In today's video, I want to talk to you about some of my favorite concert photography gear to use, and I'm going to tell you about my very brief foray as a Sony shooter. What's up, everyone? My name's Pete. I am a portrait photographer based in New York. If you're interested and you like this video, please do me a huge favor. Subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, leave me a comment below. First of all, let me just talk about the kind of venues that I shoot. I'm not shooting gigantic stadiums. I'm shooting small jazz clubs. I'm shooting small singer-songwriter bar-style venues around New York. My favorite camera to take to any of this kind of work is this camera, the X-T5. I absolutely love the X-T5. I've loved it pretty much since it came out, and I find this to be one of the best cameras for this kind of work. And some of the reasons why: number one, it's small, it's light. And in Fuji X series in general, the lenses are smaller and lighter than their full frame counterparts. So it's much easier to be discreet with the gear if you're in a smaller venue. Like any of the jazz clubs you'll go to in New York City are going to be wildly cramped. So you don't have a lot of space. So any little space that I can save with my gear is huge. So that's one of the reasons I love using Fuji. Another reason, of course, I love the colors from Fuji, and I find that even in concerts where the color can be kind of weird, it does a better job than some of the other brands I've used. Number three, I love the black and whites I get from Fuji. So one of my most common ways of photographing concerts is shooting in Acros Plus G, and then I'll take those files and I will edit them, kind of apply my own sort of aesthetic to them in Capture One before I make the final images. So that's the main reason why I use Fuji. Now on Sunday, I had the huge honor and privilege of being asked to photograph the legend jazz bass player Ron Carter. And if you don't know who Ron Carter is, he's truly a living legend. And it's an honor anytime I get to spend time with him. So I was invited to photograph his 88th birthday celebration at Blue Note Jazz Club in New York. And so I'm going to tell you what I brought. I already told you I brought the X-T5, and I brought some of these lenses, but these are in general the lenses I bring. Now, what I used at this particular shoot was mainly two lenses. Number one, this lens, and this is a new acquisition for me, and it's used. This is the Fuji 50 to 140 f2.8, and I've used this lens in the past. I've reviewed it. I've tried it a number of times, and I knew it's a great lens, and I found a good deal on a used one on B&H's website, and I just decided, you know what, I'm going to get a lot of use out of this, and I can use it for my headshot work and stuff like that too, so I snagged it. The beauty of this lens is a number of things. One, the focusing is fast and quiet. Two, it's 2.8, so for shooting a well-lit stage, you can still use relatively low ISOs and get great shots with it. Number three, let me show you. When I zoom it, you'll see nothing happens. And what I mean by that is the zooming is internal, so the barrel doesn't extend. So the internal zoom makes it much more manageable in tight spaces. You don't have to worry about the lens moving in and out and all of that. And it has stabilization built into it. So there's so many reasons to love this lens, and I absolutely love the images that it creates. The second lens that I used on Sunday, and also probably the lens I use the most on any of these concerts, is this, which is the Fuji 50mm f1.0. It should be obvious why I love this lens for low-lit small venues, and it's because it's fast. So that 1.0 from a 2.8 opening to a 1.0 opening is a vast, incredible difference. So what that means is I can do a number of things with this. I can capture more movement and use faster shutter speeds, or because most of the concerts I'm shooting, the people are not moving around that much usually. So what I prefer to do is still keep the shutter speed slow enough that I can freeze the action, but then use as low an ISO as possible. So that's what I love about this. Also, it's great for the candid moments of crowds and things like that. There's a lot of reasons why I love this lens. The quality is beautiful. The images it renders are just beautiful. I love it. And it's a 75mm equivalent. So that means it's still pretty good if you're in a small venue and you can get close to take stage photos, but it can do a lot of other fun stuff besides that. Okay, These are the two I used primarily on Sunday. And I'll get back to Sunday because I'll talk about that Sony camera in a little bit. The next lens I love to use is this. It's a Viltrox 27mm f1.2. And this is their Pro line. Again, a fabulous lens. The focus is fast. The images are very contrasty, very sharp. Makes beautiful images. And the thing that I like about this is that it's about a 40mm equivalent. So if I'm shooting a band and I want to get the whole band in the frame, this is the way to go because you can't really do that with these other two lenses. So if I want a whole stage shot, for instance, or if I want a shot of sort of the stage with maybe some of the crowd in the image, this is kind of the way to go for me. So this is, I would say, almost as good as the Fuji lenses. I still think the Fuji lenses are better, but it's an incredible value, as are all the Viltrox lenses, which I love. And that brings me to this lens, which I didn't use on Sunday, but really is one of my favorites, which is the 23mm 1.4 Fuji lens. And this is one of the newer lenses I've gotten too. Now you might say to yourself, well, you have a 27mm. Why do you also have a 23mm? This to me is one of the sharpest, most beautiful lenses that Fuji makes. And it also does double duty for me because I use it in my studio a lot for portraits, believe it or not. Because this wide angle 23, again, it's going to be like a 35-ish equivalent in full frame terms, is great for like a 3/4 portrait, half portrait, full length, or if you want to purposely distort and get close to your subject. So I'll use this for that as well. And I didn't use this on Sunday, and I'll tell you why. But before I do that, always take a backup camera. Now I have an X-T4, which is my backup camera, and then I have this grip, the battery grip, which you can remove. Honestly, most of the time, I prefer it like this because you save so much space and so much weight. However, the grip is nice to have, especially when you use a larger lens. But if you're doing anything professionally, you must have a backup camera. So for those of you who are new to photography or new to doing it professionally, or you were invited to shoot a concert by your friends, whatever it is, if you're getting paid for it, and even if you're just building your portfolio, make sure you have a backup camera because God forbid your main camera craps out on you. That's like you can't be in that situation. So I always have a backup. All right, let's get to Sony. So here's the deal about the Sony stuff. So number one, I did not take this on Sunday. Put this Lonely X-T4 on the side. I did not take the Viltrox, and I did not use the 23mm because I had this, which is not a Fuji mount lens, but this is an awesome lens. And if you watched my last video or my last review, it is a review of this Viltrox 35mm 1.2 lab lens, which is freaking awesome. It's a beast of a lens. It's made very well. The image quality is excellent. And I wanted to just try this out too. Now, I bought a used Sony A7R3 maybe like a month back, not even. And those of you who follow my channel know because I posted about it and people were giving me tear emojis because they didn't know why I did it. So my thinking behind it was a lot of these lenses, especially from Viltrox, and they like to send me these lenses for review, and they're great lenses and I really like them, but they come out first for Sony full frame mount. So I can't use them unless I borrow a camera or have my own. And I have been borrowing my good friend's Sony A7R5, which he graciously lends me, my photographer friend John. But I decided, I might as well have my own because I'm just going to be shooting more with these lenses. And right now I can only get them in the Sony mount. So I used this A7R3, and don't get me wrong, it's a good camera. I used it a number of times. The images are beautiful. I have no problem with them. And especially in my studio where I can really control the lighting and the color, there's very little to complain about. However, the user experience of these Sony cameras for someone coming from Fuji, which isn't the best menus, of course, but then also from Canon, where I feel like the menus are excellent. It just was, I just couldn't take it. It just got to me. And then the A7R3 is a great camera, But that's one of those cameras that people are always like, oh, even this old Sony camera is better focusing than a new Fuji camera. And having used one now, an old one for about a month, a little less than a month, I just, I didn't find that to be the truth. The focus was okay. It was snappy sometimes, but there was a lot of weird things too on the older camera. So I purchased this camera used from B&H, which is the only place you should buy your gear from. And again, use my links. I get a little something. It doesn't cost you anymore. But I just was not digging that Sony camera. So I sent it back with the money. I bought this, and I'm so much happier that I bought the Fuji 50 to 140. Although, watch, they're going to come out with a version 2, Mark II version before you know it, and then I'm going to be annoyed. But that's another story. So I still have this Viltrox lens. I have some other Viltrox lenses for Sony mount that I like to use and that I'm going to be reviewing. And so what I did on Sunday was I just borrowed my friend's A7R5. That camera is a wonderful camera. It's a beast of a camera. But again, for me, the shooting experience is weird. The menus are not, they're just clunky and they don't make sense. And of course, if I spent a lot more time with it, I'm sure I would get more used to it. However, it's just a very different kind of tool, and I find it to be less conducive to the work that I do and what I like to do, obviously. So I'm not knocking Sony. I mean, they make great cameras. I know we joke about it. Sometimes I'll do a little joking reel about it, but it's just not for me. So I'm back to borrowing my friend's camera when I have to do a review. So I brought this, and I absolutely love the images I created with it. They're stellar. There's a lot of latitude. They're extremely detailed. And I wanted to use the very fast 1.2 opening with the full frame and see what I got. So that was my reasoning there. Okay, that's basically it. I mean, typically when I go to a shoot, I'm a musician too, so I play a lot as well, and so I'll go to my own gigs and I'll bring my camera with me. If I'm just going to bring something small in my pocket, this is the way that I usually go: the 23 millimeter 1.4 and the XT5, because I can just put this in my backpack. And then I'm wheeling my upright bass in front of me. It doesn't take up much room, and that's what I like to do. Sometimes I'll take these other lenses, depending on what I want to get, or if I want to tell you guys about it, sometimes I'll bring a specific lens. But all things being equal, this is perfect for small venues. And I love prime lenses for a number of reasons as much as I can use them. They're fast, of course, right? So I have an f1, I have a 1.4, a 1.2, as opposed to even the 2.8 of this zoom lens, which is still great and fast, but not nearly as fast for very low light situations. And number two, I like to move my feet. So I find that when you purposely show up with one lens, it forces you to be more creative with your feet because you got to move around. And if I'm at a venue with a bunch of other bands, which happens a lot in my world, then when I'm not playing, I can just take my camera, I can move around, and you have pretty much full access to the stage. And if there is a stage, a lot of times it's just shoved in the corner of a bar somewhere. So this is what I like to take for that. Okay, so back to Ron Carter for a second. So I find that these Fuji cameras and I've used them before for documenting Ron, or as we call him, the maestro, or Mr. Carter, as we call him. And again, they're just so unobtrusive. I think they make a great match for those times where you want beautiful quality, you want to get the shot, but you don't want to be sort of in people's face with gear. And there's nothing better than a small, quiet camera like this. It's very unobtrusive. And I've caught, with this camera, with the XT5, I've caught some really beautiful moments of the maestro and some other musicians that I think it would have been harder to catch with a larger, kind of bulkier camera in their face or something that's louder. So that's why I prefer it. And I just love the shooting experience. I do love the dials and everything. For me, I find it easy to change that on the fly. And that's basically it. Okay, so I'm going to stop rambling. And that's where I am right now. Of course, all of this can change tomorrow. And I'm never completely married to a particular piece of gear because I like using different kinds of gear. I like testing stuff. However, for those of you who are keeping score, I'm still shooting with Fuji, and Canon. Those are the two main things I do. If you see me shooting a Sony, it's going to be in the context of my Viltrox gear that I love to use. And who knows, I might buy another one eventually, but it definitely won't be an A7R3. That didn't do it for me. So maybe a 4, maybe, who knows. We'll see what happens in the future. But that's all I have to say today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, if you did, hit that like button, subscribe, share it, do all that good stuff. And again, if you use any of my links below, if you're inspired to buy a piece of gear by my ramblings, then just use my links. It's great if you get it from B&H because it shows them that people are actually watching my videos and caring about what I say because they've been very good to me as a creator. So without further ado, here's wishing you an awesome day, folks. Go out, take some great pictures, enjoy your camera, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.